We are going to find a way to make an auto mob head farm today. So the goal is we set it up, we walk away from our computer for 8 hours or whatever, and then we come back to a poop ton of mob heads. So we need this to not just theoretically work, but our goal is to get something that is worthy of a step-by-step tutorial. So what is the best way to maximize mob heads? Well, Mojang still hasn't come out with a beacon that controls the weather, so we are at the mercy of how often thunderstorms occur. So what we need to do is maximize the amount of creepers that become supercharged. So what I'm thinking is that we will have spawning for both creepers and then for all regular mobs. And then before the thunderstorm, we only allow the creeper areas to spawn. And then we get a lot of supercharged creepers. And then we turn off spawning for the creepers and turn it on for everything else. And then we slowly use up the supercharged creepers. And then this way, we can really maximize the amount of mob heads that we get per thunderstorm. And then afterwards, we turn the creeper spawning back on to build up again for the next thunderstorm. So there are really 4 components to this machine. First, the spawning chambers. We can skip those for now because they're pretty straightforward. Next, the automatic converting creepers to supercharged creepers. This we can also skip for now because what I did for the witch farm will work great. So we can just use that. So next is the killing chamber. Automatically explode the creepers. We will start with this. And then after that, we will need a way to store and then automatically call the next creeper in. So I've previously looked at a ton of pretty creative ways to get a creeper to automatically go off because you can't use dispensers with flint and steel or fire charges. One of the ideas I even tried was getting a trident drowned to aggro a snow golem, and that didn't work either. So long story short, I only found 2 ways to do it. They will go after snow golems or they will go after us. And with the Diamond Blast Resistance 4 armor and a beacon, we can actually survive, and then all we need is health potions. So that's basically the trade-off. We can either load up the night before with snow golems, or we can load up the night before with health potions. And you can auto-brew potions, and snow golems require manual digging of snow. So for me personally, the potions sound easier. So that's the direction we're going to go in. Previously, I've made killing chambers out of obsidian just like this. Basically, we're on one side, and then the mob is on the other, and then the explosion carries through and kills the mob. However, water is better for a couple of reasons. 1, the design can be condensed, and 2, I never came up with a good solution for how we get in and out of the chamber if it's completely surrounded by obsidian. So why didn't I use water when it seems like the better option? Well, somehow the creeper doesn't always explode in the water. Like 4 out of 5 times it's fine. But then the creeper will be in the air and then he'll explode, or he'll be falling and explode. And basically every now and then the game doesn't count him as actually being in the water, and that will leave you with a disaster piece. But I think I came up with an idea to get him in a contained column of water, and that will guarantee that he won't blow up our machine. Alright guys, I think I have something I'm pretty proud of here. So basically the mobs will come into this area, and then we'll have the hopper below us, and that'll collect the heads. And then we'll have this small slab so the baby zombies can't get through. Then the heads will get collected right here nicely. So what's up with this piston? I did some testing, and sometimes the creeper would actually stand on the block with the gates, and then that won't count as being in the water, and so this whole thing would explode. But obviously we don't want that. So now we trap ourselves in, and then one block is open, and that's fine because they can't get in and out. And basically the creeper will come up, explode, 2 health potions will get dispensed into us, and then we can just pull ourselves out when we're done. So then what's up with the leaves? So what's holding us in place is a single glass pane. And when a pane is surrounded by glass, it fans out into this plus sign. But when it's surrounded by leaves, it actually just sticks to a single stick. And that's important because items won't get stuck on that single pane. So we can actually waterlog the glass, and then the bubble column will continue through. So basically we can't get past, but then items can. So I'll show you that here quick. The reason why we want this is if something goes wrong or we die, all of our items will nicely be packed up into this chest above us. Voila! All our crap is now in here. So we will need to use minecarts to bring mobs in one at a time. Pretend these are supercharged creepers. I don't know if you've had this issue before, but if you line them up beside it, the cart will just miss. And if you have the cart go under them, it'll bounce right off if there are like 15 or more. So in the past, I've used water, and that has worked great. Like we can grab each mob every time. And the light blocks are to represent some kind of a sensor because the system will need to know whether to turn on or off based on if there are supercharged creepers like ready to go. So anyway, we can't use a pressure plate here because of the water, so this method would use a tripwire. And I'm concerned that between two creepers, like towards the end, it'll flicker, and that's bad. We can't have the flicker. So I'm going to need to figure out a way to get pressure plates to work. So these are the items I'm interested in using: a pressure plate, vines, and cake. We'll start with the cake. So there's not a ton of ways to control horizontal distance in Minecraft, but cake is one of them. So if we eat this cake down to 2 notches left, that will work perfect for forcing creepers to the edge of a 1 block area. So the next block I wanted was vines because we can ignore entity cramming if we use them right, and then we can keep them all in the same tube. And then finally, I wanted to use the pressure plate, or I should say we have to use the pressure plate to sense whether there are creepers there or not. And in reality, we only have 2 vertical spaces to work with, so unfortunately we can't do the vine entity cramming trick. So here it is again, this time with cake, and it works great, and it grabs the mob each time it goes. So this is what we'll go with, and that means we have everything. So we can start with a full mock-up now. Alright, we are back. Look at this thing. So we'll check this thing out. Basically, we have the sides for the creepers, and then the top one for the regular mobs. So we have trapdoors in here to force the creepers, and then carpet to stop the spiders. And then the way that this works is that we have the maximum distance from the lamp, so the light right here at the end is 1, which is just enough to stop spawning. And then obviously when it's off, they can spawn anywhere. Then we have the top one right here, and mobs will spawn in here when I turn the game roll for mob spawning on. Anyway, the creepers will get funneled in here, and then lightning strikes, and they'll get dropped below. So we have 4 columns here, and that's fine. The cart will pick them up, starting from the right, one at a time. You can see the redstone beyond. We don't need to get into that too much, but basically it just tracks to see if there are supercharged creepers ready to go in the system. Another thing I wanted to point out is here we have the health potions, and I added this redstone line right here. And so what this does is if we run out of health potions, this piston will retract and then the system just shuts off. So it's basically like a safety check. If we run out of potions, no more creepers will get sent, and then we won't die. So the next step is to test it, and I already know there's like no way this thing works, but I have no idea why. So we'll give it a whirl, and we'll see where I went wrong. Well guys, that was quick. Already a couple of things wrong. So I had this backwards. This needs to be dark before the thunderstorm. But that's an easy fix, and I just manually spawned in some creepers for now. The funnier fail was, look at this. I built the spawning platform above the lightning rod. So I'm an idiot, and lightning will not be able to strike, and I'm going to fix this, and we'll be right back. Okay, those things are fixed, but I ran into another issue. I can't get anything to spawn up here. And the reason is we are mob capped. So right now, the problem is I manually spawned in way too many. So mob cap is actually 70, by the way. And if each column holds 24, that means we only will need 3 columns. So at one point, I'll cut one of these off, and that will condense things just a little bit. All right, so I loaded this thing up with like 20 creepers, and we're gonna actually test this thing now. So we should get a supercharged creeper to pop up anytime soon. What will happen is we'll start with the health potions, and then the creeper will pop up. And we don't need the potions right now because it's just the first one and we're not damaged yet, but that's just the way the system is set up. That's not good. Did you see that? It looked like the health potions actually killed the zombie and the skeleton. Okay, so that is a problem. And the health potions aren't actually needed so much now. It's really for more when we're starving to death that they're required. I might set something up where it waits a while before it gives it to us. But the larger issue is it killed the zombie. So I think we can just drop them from a lower height, and then they'll be less damaged. They won't be quite as hurt. And so then maybe that will work. And then another issue is right here. I thought using tripwire I could get around this, but the tripwire activates and then the hoppers are frozen because they are powered. And so then any mob heads won't go through it. But I think this is an easy fix. Yeah, this one's not too bad. Basically, we need the mob to stand on the pressure plate so that the machine can know to call the next supercharged creeper in. But we don't want it to stop the items from being collected. So what we can do instead is we can just use a hopper minecart below that, and then that will pick up items through the pressure plate. So I'll just install this one in the next update. So let's talk about active issues because unfortunately we have a lot of them. We have the powered hopper, and that one's solved. We have the 4 columns of creepers, and we only need 3. That one's pretty easy. We have the potions of healing, killing the skeletons and zombies. That's an outstanding one, but we actually have a worse one now. So basically, these creepers are destroying our armor. Like 20 points of durability per explosion. So if the helmet has about 400 total, that means we only get about 20 mob heads out of it. And then worse, we risk breaking our gear. So there's no way to sugarcoat this. This is a major issue. We're probably going to have to go back to completely redesign this killing chamber. And so I am done for the day. So I thought I was closing in on the design, and I'm just not. So this was a gut punch, frankly. But I'm done for the day. See you tomorrow. Okay, so I had this crazy idea to fix this whole thing. What if we give ourselves XP with mending on our armor and then just repair as we go? So zombie pigmen will drop XP whether you kill them or not, and we can spawn them in with nether portals, and then the XP can actually get funneled into us. And yeah, look at that. You can see it going in there. Unfortunately, this is also a terrible idea. So like maybe theoretically we could get something like this to work, but this is getting pretty complicated, and ultimately I want to make this into a guide, and I can't risk someone building this and then their armor breaking. So I'm going to start from scratch. There are a bunch of things we wanted to change anyway, and then I'm going to make a new mock-up and then fix everything including the kill chamber. So snow golems it is then. That is the direction we're going to go with the killing chamber. The major issue with them is that you can't use water to push them around because they just die. So that's something that we're going to have to think about. But that's okay. We will get there. Okay guys, I'm back and building the mock-up again, and this time I thought I would put it at the exact height that we would want it, which will be 128 blocks off of the ground so that nothing down there can spawn. And I'm doing that, and I ran into what might be a pretty big issue. So lightning is not striking. In real life, lightning prefers to strike higher places, but apparently not so in Minecraft, and I can't get anything. Why am I the guy that has to figure this out? How has no one else done this and recorded their findings? This is so annoying. I'm gonna have to redesign. I'm already having to redesign this, and then this pops up as an issue too. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. So this probably won't take too long. We'll just knock it out now and get it over with. Okay, so this is the test. I have a bunch of these set up every 20 blocks, and then on it I have written the height, and then we have a lightning rod, and then a regular piston. So basically it will get struck and then covered so that it can't be struck again. And then this way we can see just how high the lightning can strike. I have a trident to demonstrate like right now, but obviously we'll let Minecraft naturally strike the rest. And then I use copper just for fun because lightning actually will clear the corrosion off. I did the test, and this thing is saying that the max height that lightning can strike is 60 blocks, which is just not true. So I think somehow Minecraft knows the height of the ground, and then it bases its max height off of that. Like, because we're in a super flat world that starts at -60, it only wants to do, I guess, about 120 blocks above that. So basically what we need to do is we need to redo this experiment in a non-super flat world and then go from there. We are in a regular world, and I redid the experiment, and my hypothesis was 100% true. Minecraft figured us out where the ground is and then strikes about 120 blocks above that. So we're at 180 now, and lightning naturally struck this. So that is great to know. Now the game did not want to strike this high, I have to say. And I'm concerned that not every thunderstorm will want to strike this high. So we're actually going to build it at 160 instead. And that does have some consequences because it limits where we can realistically build this thing. This is every biome that exists. Obviously, we can't build this in the Nether or the End. Next, we can't build this thing underground like in lush caves. We can't build this thing in the desert because it doesn't rain. We can't build it in cold biomes because it snows. We want to avoid the taiga biomes because at a certain height, the rain turns to snow. And then that leaves us with this. And now that we can only build to 160, that leaves a lot of mob spawning that can happen in caves underground. So what we're going to do instead is we can build over the ocean. Obviously, I would prefer it to have the ability to be built in as many places as possible. But the reality is the ocean was probably going to be the preferred spot anyway to build. So it is what it is. It's not what it's not. And we'll just roll with this. So we are back from that huge tangent back to the snow golems, and this is installed, and it was actually way easier than I thought it would be. So we're just using cake like on the other side. Basically, we just build it here on a pressure plate, and then once it's made, it gets pushed into place. Easy peasy. You can't build it right there because there's cake in there, and then we need the cake just similar to the supercharged creepers. So then the way that we get around that is we shove them in place with a piston. Okay, so then over here we have one ready to go, and then when it dies, the cart will get called and just pick up the next one. So let's see this thing in action. I did notice one more issue. So you see how they jump? So they are actually taking like half a heart of damage. And I left it on overnight and came back to really not that many mob heads. And I was so confused. And I couldn't figure out why for a bit, but this is it. So each explosion is slowly killing them. And then after like 14, they die. So keep in mind that they're already a little bit damaged from being struck by lightning. Conceptually, a simple fix. We just have to distance them a little bit more. Thank goodness for Lightmatica, man. I can just conveniently push this thing over and then reconnect the wiring after. I'm back and I just said a few expletives. So I wish Lightmatica had an edit undo. I pasted it and then somehow it came in over here. So I do have this mock-up saved. Basically, I'll just paste that over this and then make a few unsaved changes that I had made and then try again. So it worked this time. I don't really know what went wrong the first time, but I'm reconnecting the wiring and we should be go momentarily. One more thing I want to show off. We are having a lot of problems with witches. So because they can actually survive just fine. I swear, they are the cockroaches of Minecraft, and they can survive like anything. And that's not good because they can hog the spawn cap. So we need to get rid of them. So I installed this de-witcher. Basically, after an explosion, they just get pushed onto the wither flower, and that will slowly kill them. Now, they really draw out that process as long as they can, but it will kill them. Anyway, I think tonight is going to be the night. I think tonight is going to be the night that I wake up in the morning and this thing actually works. Okay, so we just AFK'd. This thing is loaded. Maybe a thunderstorm just happened, but this isn't a great sign. And it looks like we have a lot of mobs up there, so what happened? Oh, okay. Look, we just ran out of snowmen and this thing automatically shut off. So this is actually fine. All right, how'd we do? Oh, thank goodness. Oh man. Okay, so it looks like we got about 100 mob heads. Plus we have a ton of charge creepers that didn't get used. Okay, thank God this thing actually works. Okay, this is such a sigh of relief, man. You guys ever like do a project and then you name one like final and then like the next one like final when you realize you didn't quite finish yet and then like final? Well, I'm doing a version of that with my Litematica saves right here, but we got one and man, this was a tough one and we did it. It is so beautiful to watch too. So I will produce a step-by-step tutorial of this, and if you like this format, these are some other videos that you might like as well. See ya!